So good morning once again. So welcome to Geometry training. So July 5th, 15th. Today is July 15th, right? So I'm targeting to complete by August 15 by 1 month. I mean within 1 month. So that's the reason I planned 1.5 hour session, right? I increased the duration from 1 hour to 1.5 hour, right, for you guys. All right. So we will target to complete by August 15th. Okay. So and by once this geometry is completed, so we will take another 15 days for few other concepts like fiddler, and monitoring and analysis, right? So for the rest of all concepts like database concepts, Linux commands, so we'll be spending the remaining 15 days for the remaining concepts. So I'm targeting to complete this batch by end of next month. All right. So these are the JMeter course contents. Let me give a brief, gist of this. So these are the course contents for, for beginners in JMeter, right? So these two slides, okay. I'm going to add few more concepts to this apart from this, right? So I'm going to add, couple of, few more concepts to this. So, and this is JMeter advanced course contents not required for you, right? So, but these are though for whom those who are already working on JMeter, who has some good amount of experience on JMeter, right? So as you already had this introduction and all, I will not go into this. So I'll skip this, right? So we'll be doing this daily aptitude test and table topics and all from tomorrow onwards, right? As we are it's already 7:44. 7:45. I'll skip this for today. So we will be doing this. Hey, by the way, did you try this? Like the 3 by 3 puzzle that I have shown yesterday, asked yesterday before jumping into the session. So did you find out? I told you there is some pattern over here. So if you recognize that pattern, if you identify that pattern, this will be easy. You can do it in less than a minute. You can do it in like 10, 20 seconds or 10 seconds if you know the pattern. Did anyone identify that? I gave you a
Even
biggest.
and all.
Yeah. So for those who joined from today, right, don't get surprised. These are, for the first 5 to 10 minutes, I will be covering aptitude questions. So the reason is, so few organizations are conducting aptitude test. That is one reason, right? The other one is like to accommodate the late joiners. All right. So we will have the first 5 to 10 minutes, like we will be having some aptitude questions like this. So just let me, mm, explain this, right? So this is you have a 3 by 3 table, like you have to fill some numbers in this, 9 cells, right? So, and sum of either row or column or, either horizontally or vertically, right? The sum of, each of these 3 cells, it should be like 24, right? And diagonally as well, not only like row and column, but also diagonally also it should be 24. I gave one example here with for 15, right? Yesterday I had I kept this puzzle before you, right? And I gave a biggest clue also, you have to divide the sum, whatever sum you want to get, right? So you have to divide that by 3, and you have to keep that number in the middle cell, right? So in this case, we want the sum of all cells to be 24. I mean, all cells in the sense like row or column or diagonally, it should be 24, right? So except 8, you cannot do this with any other number, right? And the rules are like, you should not use 0, and you should not repeat a number, and you should not use negative numbers. Those are the rules. You should not repeat the numbers, and you should not use 0, and you should not use negative numbers, right? So I gave a clue, a big clue here, that middle cell number in the middle cell should be a number which is you should divide the sum that we want by 3, right? Here in this case we want 24. So 24 by 3, so 8 only should be here. And I asked you to identify some pattern, guys. So did anyone identify that pattern, or you forgot completely after the session? You forgot about this, right? Very good.
Odd and even pattern.
So
What is it?
pattern, we can say like Kishore, we have four, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So what are the number? Let's say we have 7, 8, 9 for 21 diagonally.
Uh-huh.
Then so uh, below 4 we can write 6. Okay, and at the place of 8 we can write 11. Like the below number is less than 1, and third number
Okay.
like greater by 4. So
Okay.
that will be 7, 6, and 11.
Okay. Yeah. Let me
So,
give a no. Let me give a clue that anyone can understand. Right. So you understood this one, right? First thing, right? So once you get, once you put the middle number, right? So I'll give you a simple clue. Okay, a simple way to do that, right? So this is 8, right? So 8 minus 1 7, 8 plus 1 9, 8 minus 2 6, 8 plus 2 10, right? You can do in this way, then you will get easily, guys. So here it is 7 plus 6, and 7 plus 6 13, so it should be 11, right? So here in this case what you do is, see, this is 8 minus 1 8 plus 1, 8 minus 2 8 plus 2, and in one place it will be reverse. So this is plus 3 and minus 3. Okay, and this is again minus 4, that which is nothing but 4, and then plus 4. As simple as that, guys. Now you got all the which one, this seems to be wrong, right? 1 second. Minus 3, 7 plus 4 11, and this should be 13. 13. Yeah.
Move 12 up and 4 down.
What is that?
12 up.
One. So this is minus 4 plus 4. Mm,
That also.
hold on. 1 second. 1 second. So minus 2 plus 2. Let me pass the record. Once you get the middle number, right? So this is minus 1 plus 1, minus 2 plus 2, right? And here it is reverse, plus 3 and minus 3. Again, this is plus 4 and minus 4, right? So this is the simple trick, that you can follow for any number, whatever number you want, right? So if you know this, like, so that is the pattern that I asked you actually, like, here, see, here you can see the same pattern. So this is minus 1 plus 1, minus 2 plus 2, right? And then plus 3 and minus 3, this plus 4 and minus 4, right? Yes, is it easy now?
Yes, sir.
yes.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes,
So,
Kishore.
except 8, whatever, if you keep any other number here, you will not, you can't do, right? So it should be this should be the number which is divided by 3, the total sum that we want by 3. So only that number should go here in the middle cell, right? So except 8, you cannot do with any other number, following those rules, like we should not repeat the numbers, and we should not use negative numbers, and we should not use 0. Okay, so let's go to, so we'll be having this, so one such kind of one puzzle or aptitude question, like for the first 5 to 10 minutes. So this is mainly to accommodate the late joiners, and like also like to for as few organizations are conducting aptitude tests. So that is the reason I have I introduced this one in the first 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, now, so let's go to the JMeter. We'll quickly go to JMeter. So before starting JMeter, like I already covered the Windows shortcuts for you. So everyone should be familiar with the shortcuts like Alt Tab, Windows D for desktop, and Windows C for Explorer, right? And F11 is for maximize Windows, right? So I'll share this PPT. It try these shortcuts. Okay, avoid using mouse as far as possible, right? So please use these shortcuts, and these are Zoom meeting shortcuts. Okay, so Alt A for mute and unmute, and if you want to temporarily unmute, you can use space bar. Press and hold the space bar, right? If you want to ask some query, right? So if you want to temporarily unmute, right? So you can press the space bar, press and hold the space bar, right? And then like you can release it, and again you will go to mute, right? So if you want to get the chart window, Alt H, and like share screen, if you want to share the screen, Alt S. See, S for share, right? So here you can see mute, Alt for Alt A for audio. You can remember in this way, A for audio, right? And V for video. right? They might have, you know, fixed these letters basis on that only, right? So Alt A is change the audio. Alt is alter, right? So you can, you know, it's a no-brainer, right? So, you know, just remember this, so if you understand like this, then you can remember, right? A for audio and V for video. Alt is to change. Alt is for, you know, alter, right? Alt is nothing but alter, right? The, you know, that is the standard, convention why they named that, you know, that key as alter on the keyboard. All right. Now, so yeah, so these are few more things, basics that you need to know. Everyone need to know. The first thing is, you know, IP address, how to find IP address of your machine, host name of your machine, and, you know, port number. You need to understand what is a port number and what is ping command, what is FQDN, fully qualified domain name, and what is firewall. So, you know, I hope everyone know this IP address, right? How to check the IP address, right? So for, you know, still for the recording purpose, let me do it once. So how to check IP address, guys, in Windows?
Type IP config. Yeah.
Right.
ipconfig.
Right. In Windows, it is IP config. In Linux,
ifconfig.
if
I
config.
don't know.
Right. Linux command is if config. And here is the IP address of your machine. So this is something called IPv4 address, right? So IP version 4, IP version 4, and this is your private IP, right? Now the, you know, there is something called private IP and public IP, right? I mentioned it here. So you need to understand this. What is private IP? What is public IP? That you need to know that as well. All right. So I'll explain that later. So for now, remember that this is the private IP of your machine, right? So if you have multiple computers connected to your internet, right? So you will have the first three, you know, places will be the same, but this number changes when you have, you know, multiple machines, you know, connected to your network. All right. So, you know, I have one machine with 134, another machine, you know, another laptop, you know, of my office laptop, it is showing us some 143 or 142, right? So this is private IP. Please remember that this is private IP address. All right. We'll discuss what is private IP and what is public IP. So, or else, you know, let me quickly show you. Suppose if you want to see the public IP, so, you know, you open a browser and type what is my IP.com, and this is your public IP, guys, right? So you will be visible to the external world with this IP address. This IP address will not be visible to the external world. Okay. But, you know, you will be visible to the external world with this IP address. All right. And this will be same, you know, for your internet connection, you know, no matter how many systems are connected to your network, public IP will be one and the same. Clear, guys?
Okay. Okay.
And, you know, this changes, you know, based on your machine. So, you know, this number will be assigned, you know, automatically, and, you know, it will, this last the number in the last place will change for each of your machines. Suppose, you know, like you have one more laptop connected, it may be having this number as a different one in the private IP. Private IP means like within your network, right? Public IP means, you know, that is the IP address that will be visible to the external world, right? So this is all about public IP and private IP. Let me go to that. Yeah. Next thing, so host name. And one more thing that you need to know is how to check the host name of your machine. Simply type host name here on the command prompt. Simply type host name. So this will show you your computer name, right? Now, you know, let me show you that. Okay. So if you go to control panel, you know, like, or if you see this PC properties, right? So it will be showing that computer name somewhere. So here you can see my device name. This is the device name that was given by the, you know, by someone who installed this OS. You can rename as well. Suppose, you know, you can use this option to rename this. All right. You can rename your device name, okay, by using this option. So you can see, you know, all these details, like, you know, you can see installed RAM, what is your processor, right? What is your device name, device ID, and, you know, which operating system you have. I mean, 32-bit or 64-bit, you can see here, right? So most of the systems will be 64-bit only, right? And you can see the you know, under Windows specification, you can see your operating system and version, when is it installed, and so on. So you have a lot of details over here, right? So how you can check this, you know, you right click on this PC and go to properties, or else, you know, you can go to can everyone try this, guys? Okay, please try this, guys, along with me. So open that, system name and, system. I think we should go to system if you want to go from here, right? Yeah. So if you want, it will show you the same page, right? I opened control panel and, I went to system. I used option system, right? So this is one thing you should know. Everyone should know. Every test engineer, should know. And, port numbers. Coming, the next one is port numbers, right? So everyone should be having an understanding of this port numbers. So what is this port number, guys? So, we have some seniors, right? I would like to hear from them. What is this port number? So, guys, anyone?
This port, yeah. This port number is used to connect the browser and server. Via this port number, we will communicate to the server.
Right. So a computer will have many ports, right? And each program or any process will be running on a particular port. Say for example, your sample application web tools will run on port number. By the default port number is
1080.
1080.
1080, and what is the standard HTTP port?
80.
80, right? So and HTTPS, the standard port HTTPS
443.
443, right? So now how to, where can I check the port number? Say for example, when you have multiple programs, installed on your machine, right? So each program will be using a different port number, right? Suppose if some programs are not working and you want to see the port numbers, right? So some programs may not work, when there is a port conflict, right? For instance, Tomcat port number, default port number is 8080. Okay. Tomcat port number. Okay. What is Tomcat, guys? Seniors. What is Tomcat?
Application server.
Right. So Tomcat is one of the popular application server, right? From Apache. Its default port number is 8080, right? It should be pronounced as, US people pronounce it as 8080, right? They pronounce it as, they pronounce 0 as well, right? So, and Jenkins port number is also 80, default port number of Jenkins, right? What is Jenkins? Anyone? Port number? Yeah, see here. Jenkins also uses the same port number by default. Okay. So, if you have Tomcat and Jenkins both installed on your machine, then there will be a port conflict, right? So you have to change the port number of either of these. So that is the reason this port numbers concept is important for you. So if some programs doesn't work, or if there is a port conflict, so how to check, what port, how to check all the port numbers and which process is using which port number, right? There are commands for this, CLI commands for this, right? CLI commands. What is CLI?
Command line interface.
Right. CLI stands for command line interface. So there are some commands like this for netstat. There is a command called netstat, right? So I know -an or something, right? So it will show you all the port numbers, right? So if you don't remember this command, right? So here you can see it is showing all the port numbers. Let me show you that quickly, right? So here you can see 80, which is HTTP, right? Default port number of HTTP, it is listening. And 8081, I have Tomcat running on this port number. No, sorry, Jenkins. I changed the Jenkins port number to 8081, right? So rather than this, I will show you one, another source to check the, port numbers. So you type resource monitor and launch this resource monitor window, right? And go to network, and somewhere you can see the port. Yeah, here you can see. You can see all the listening ports, right? So what are all port numbers that are working, right? So you can see it over here. So you can see 80, and you can see all the port numbers that are currently listening. All right. So this is a simple way. You need not remember that command also. And this is a simple way that you can check, and and this gives more details, right? It will give you what is the protocol, what is the firewall status, which program is using that, and so on. So here you can see 8081, you can see the process running is java.exe, of course. So, but actually, like Jenkins is running over there. Maybe, Jenkins is developed in Java. It's a Java program. That's why it is showing as java.exe. And, Splunk is running on this 8089 and MongoDB is running on 8191 and so on. Right? You see different port numbers over here. So how to check this? Resource monitor. Right? In the Windows search box, please note this, those who are from non-IT, please note this. So this is called as Windows search box, right? So you type here, resource monitor. Okay. Once you type resource, you will get under this, it will show you the best matches. So open that resource monitor, go to network tab. By default, you may be in overview or, some other tab. You have to go to network tab, right? And remember, ports are nothing but these are all software programs. Okay. These are not hardware ports. These are software programs. All these different ports are software programs, right? Software ports. Clear? So these are the listening ports that are working on my machine as of now. So this is all about port numbers, right? And I want to cover this ping command. So ping command is like many developers or test software engineers will use this. Almost all software engineers use this. So basically ping command is, suppose you want to ping any other computer, right? If there is another system or another computer on your network and you want to see whether these both are connected or not, right? So you use this ping command, right? If you have, suppose say for example, you join an organization and you join into some team, right? So you want to, like if you get your IP, IP address of your, teammates or anyone, colleagues, IP address. So you can, you can type the IP address over here, right? And you use this, ping command. So just give me a moment. Let me check the IP address of my other machine. Okay, my another laptop. Just please give me a moment. So coming to this FQDN first of all stands for fully qualified domain name. So why this is important is, when you are working on any licensed tool like LoadRunner, right? So the first instance where I came across this term is, right? So I want to like we want to use LoadRunner in one project, and like we asked for a license, right? Then the team, licensing team of our organization, they asked me to provide this FQDN name. So that is where I came across this term first in my first project, right? So fully qualified domain name means that is nothing but your see, every computer will have some host name, right? That is understood, right?
Yes.
Right? So your fully qualified domain name will be like this: your computer name followed by your domain name, means your organization domain name, right? So like you got it, right? And I'm searching for the command to find in from the command line. So let's try this ping -a IP. Let me try this. First check the IP address of your machine, right? So if you want to see the fully qualified domain name, right? First check IP address. I don't think see that fully qualified domain name. It will be in organization when you are working in an organization, I think. But still, let me try what it shows. There is nothing wrong, right? So, and one more thing, I want to copy this IP address. Okay, you select that IP address and click enter. That's it. It will copy that to the clipboard, and you click here. You do a click here, and it will be pasted, right? No, this is working as a ping command only. Okay, leave it. I will come to this later. Okay, how there should be a command to check the fully qualified domain name. This is not working somehow, right? Domain name of the server. So leave it. I'll look into that. I'll cover that later. Right. The next thing you need to understand is firewall. Right. So every every machine connected to the network, every machine, every computer, laptop or desktop with connected to an internet, right? So by default, it will be having something called this firewall turned on. right? So that is this is basically to protect, your system from any hacking attempts, right? So if you want to see the firewall status, whether it is, there or not, right? What is the status of that firewall? You just type in the Windows search box, type firewall or firewall.cpl. Both will, bring up this window, right? Now you can see, like, inbound rules somewhere you can see that, the status to be on and off. Let me Windows Defender firewall properties. Yeah, click here. I'm sorry. Hold on. Yeah, so here you can see Windows Defender firewall is on, right? Let me highlight that. So you can see here Windows Defender firewall is on currently as of now, right? And under private profile also it is on, and public profile also it is on. Okay, so this is how, this is all about, firewall that we need to know, right? You should know, like, what is firewall. Guys, are you able to hear me? Hello? Guys, are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
Yes, Kishore.
Yeah, yeah. So I saw that, my laptop got disconnected from internet, that's why I'm asking. For a moment, it got disconnected for a moment, right? So we should know that, like, that there will be something called firewall for any operating system, whether it is Windows or Linux or Mac OS, right? And, it will be turned on by default, and, this is how you check the status, right? You type firewall or firewall.cpl in the search box. You type, firewall or firewall.cpl. CPL stands for control panel, right? Here you can see a control panel item, right? Firewall is a control panel item. So you can type either firewall or firewall.cpl to open this. Yeah, this is what actually I want to show you, right? So this will be more clear, right? So you can see here Windows Defender firewall state is on. All right. So if you want to turn it off, if you want to turn it off, you click on that. So on the left side, you see turn Windows Defender firewall on or off, right? So you click on that, and, and you can turn it off if you want to turn it off. See, when do we need to turn it off? So we need to turn it off when we are running some, installation, load, for example, load runner installation. So it is recommended to turn off, some firewall and, disable the UAC, user account control, right? When you are installing some programs, right? So in that cases, you need to know this. You may need to turn off this firewall, right? And the next thing I want to, so you guys able to follow? Let me know if I am going too fast. Or, is this space okay?
Sir, I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
అసలు ఫైర్వాల్ దేనికి సార్ అసలు ఎందుకు ఆఫ్ చేయాలి?
Yeah, that's I said just now. I said, right. So, if you want to install some programs, right, some software, we need to turn off the firewall to install some programs. It is recommended to turn off the firewall.
yes, Kishore.
Right? And next
Yes,
thing
sir.
I want to explain you is host file in Windows, right? So we will come across this host file many a times in our projects. So let me show you, where is that host file, right? So you go to, type Windows E for Explorer, Windows Explorer, go to your C drive, or else, the drive in which your operating system is installed, right? So C drive, go to Windows. Windows, is it Windows? Anyone? Yeah, it's Windows only. Go to System 32, Windows System 32 drivers, and etc. There will be a folder called etc. So this is, this is the file that I'm talking about. Let me open this, right? So this is the host file that I'm talking about, right? So, so this will show you basically, it will show you your, what is this, guys? 127.0.0.1.
Loopback IP address.
Right. Loopback adapter. We call that as some loopback adapter or something, right? So in layman terms, this is the default IP address of your machine. Okay. So everyone may not be knowing what is that loopback adapter, right? So, so if I want to put it in a layman term, so this is the default IP address of any machine. Okay. And this is the default, host name, default name of your machine, default name. Okay. If, while installing the OS, that guy, installation guy gave this name, then some desktop or something. But if you don't give any name, this would be the default, name of your machine. And this is the default IP address of your machine. Okay.
Sir, how to check that one, sir?
How to check means?
Opening
This host file.
Local disk C.
It will be in C drive, Windows, System
Yes, sir.
32. Here you can see the paths: Windows, System 32, drivers, etc, hosts.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Right?
Thank
Suppose, like you can map your name, for example, you can give some name over here. So, for instance, let me try this 127.0.0.1, right? Suppose, I give my lappy or my laptop, right? I'm giving the name as I am mapping this name, guys. Okay. So, and one more thing, please, everyone, please install Notepad++. So please don't use Notepad. Okay. So Notepad++ is very advanced than Notepad. I know everyone should be using Notepad++. Okay. So I gave a name to my machine. So you can change the name over here like this, right? So 127.0. I gave it as, this is the default IP address of my machine. And I gave some name as, MyLappy. And now let me show you something. So I started WebTools application on my server, right? The normal URL of the, WebTools is one. What is the URL of that, WebTools homepage? Localhost, right? This is the default, URL. This is the default URL of WebTools application. I changed the port. There is some port conflict, and I changed the port number on my machine to 1081, right? So this is one way to access the application: localhost 1081 webtools index.html, right? Everyone is familiar with this page, right? Except, those who joined newly. All others are familiar with this page and URL, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right. So now, you can, so instead of localhost, right? So you can give the IP address also here. So 127.0.0.1. So that is the IP address, default IP address of the machine. And you can use this URL also. So, if you want, I'll open in incognito, right? I'll open this URL in incognito. What is the difference between normal browser and incognito browser? Again, one new concept. This is a normal browser, right? Guys, this is a normal browser that you see in white background by default, right? And there every browser, when I say browser, every browser means a Chrome or Edge or Firefox will have something called private browser, right? So how to open that private browser is in Chrome. You, on the top right, you see 3 dots, right? You go there and use this new incognito window, right? The shortcut for that is Control-Shift-N, N for new. Control-Shift-N, N for new, right? So this is incognito browser or private browser, right? So what is the difference between a normal browser and incognito browser or private browser?
Here, no browsing history will be saved, and
Yes,
cache
so
will also.
clearly mentioned, right? See here, you have gone incognito, right? So it is showing that Chrome is saying that you have gone incognito, right? And so when we are incognito, what happens? You can browse privately, and other people who use this device won't see your activity, right? However, downloads, bookmarks, and reading list items will be saved, right? So you can browse privately, and other people who use this device won't see your activity. Say, for example, you browse your some website, and you closed it, and in a normal browser, if you open some website, and even though you close it, right? Say, even though you close the browser, so, and you give, your machine is being used by someone else, right? So they can see, whatever websites you have browsed or visited by going to history, this history option, right? So here you can see what all, what are the recent websites that I have visited. Clear? It is showing here what are the recent websites that I have visited, what are the
Yes.
URLs that I have accessed, isn't it?
Yes.
In the history, right? In the history option. But whereas, if you browse something in incognito, right? So it will not store that browsing history. Here you can see Chrome won't save the following information. What does it for? What doesn't it save? Your browsing history will not be saved. Cookies and site data will not be saved. And information that you entered in the forms will not be saved. So sometimes you fill some form, right? The next time when you go to the same website, you will see that suppose in website somewhere you fill your address, right? The next time you visit some other website, right? So if there is an address field, so you will see that citation, right? Did you observe that? You might have observed this anytime, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
So
Kishore. Yes.
that is because the data that you entered in the form is saved in the normal browser. If you used a normal browser, that will be saved somewhere in the browser cache. But here, when you are using private browser, that information entered in the forms will not be saved, right?
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And there is
Yes,
a
yes.
there is, so that is the main difference between your normal browser and private browser. So observe here, in private browser you will not have that history option at all, because it doesn't save the browsing history, isn't it? So you don't have that history option at all, right? That is right. So, but here you can see that history option in a normal browser. So any browser, so you'll have some, if it is a normal browser, you have this history option, right? Here you see, right? This is a normal Firefox, right? Whereas if you open private browser, please give me a moment, guys. I'll take a pass. It's saying that you are in a private window. Firefox clears your search and browsing history when you quit the app, right? It's clearly saying here it will clear all your search and browsing history when you quit the app. Means when you quit the browser, when you close the browser, it will clear all the browsing history, and if you search for something, it will clear all those. Or close all private browsing tabs and windows, right? Clear, guys? That's why this is called as private browser, guys. Able
Yes,
to,
Kishore.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
right?
We are able
You
to follow.
understand the
Yes.
difference between a normal browser and private browser, right?
Yes, yes.
Right. So having said that, there is a catch here. Let me go to Chrome, right? So as we said, as I said, browsing history will not be saved. No one can see that. Don't take it for granted. Don't visit any websites don't visit any banned websites in your office laptops, right? Because your employer can see that, or your internet service provider can see that. Your network team can still monitor that. Okay. Right. So don't visit any unwarranted websites on your office laptop. If it is a personal laptop, that's fine, right? You can browse anything. But if it is your office laptop, don't visit any unwarranted websites, right? Because still your activity, see, observe here, your activity might still will be visible to websites that you visit, or your employer or school. Means basically employer means like your network team can monitor that. They can track that, they can trace out, right? Or your ISP, internet service provider, right? They can also monitor that. All right. Just
Okay.
a word of caution, right? So don't assume that like no one can monitor websites that you visit if you use private browser. It's not the case. Your network team can still monitor if it is an office laptop, right? Now, so is it clear, guys? Any queries?
No, Kishore. It's clear.
Okay, so I think I jumped from one topic to another one, right? So private browser, how come that private? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, one more question. So while
Yeah.
doing performance testing also, we'll do in the private mode, or we'll go with a normal browser or an incognito browser?
Yeah, good question. So, when you are doing testing, right, it's always recommended to use a private browser. Okay. The reason is,
Okay.
say for example, so developers has fixed some issue. So let's assume that, you are facing some UI issue, some issue, and you raised a bug, right? So, and
Okay.
developer has fixed that issue, right? and you want to test it again. So if you use a normal browser, it will basically load from the cache unless until you clear it, right?
Okay.
Every
Okay.
browser will have its own cache, right? CACHE.
Yeah.
Right? So it will be loading next time you access the same page, it will be loading from the browser cache, right? So that's why,
Yes.
like when you are doing testing, software testing, it's always recommended to use a private browser,
Okay.
right? So that, so here, if you use a normal browser, the change may not be visible to you unless until you clear the browser cache, right?
Okay.
So that's why,
Yes, yes.
but if you use a private browser, as it will not store anything, as there will not be that, browsing history will not be saved, right? So, you will see the updated output,
Okay, Kishore. Yeah.
right?
That's
Yeah.
good.
So coming to this, right? So we are in host file, right? So we are seeing that host file concept. So here you can see, I can use either local host or I can use the IP address, the default IP address, right? And there is one more way to access that application. So I gave some name as MyLappy, right? So you can use that as well. So instead of this IP address, right? Right, you can use this one as well, right? So, or else, let me use a private browser, okay? So that, it will not fetch from the cache, right? LAP, right? 1081 web tools, right? So you can so what I have done here, I have assigned some name to my machine, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you give whatever name you want here. So my Dell XPS, okay? This is XPS model of Dell, so that I'm using. So I gave my Dell XPS, okay? So here you can give that name now, right? So this is the purpose of host file. So, you will be using, definitely you will be coming across this host file. So, like if someone say in your project, if you join some project and, you need to do some, mapping like this, right? So if they ask you to do the host file mapping, right? So you should be familiar with this host file. That's the reason I'm covering here. All right. So, and what is the path of this host file? C drive, Windows, System 32, drivers, etc. hosts,
Host.
right? Windows, System 32, drivers, etc. hosts. Okay, shall we move to the next one? Any
Yes.
queries here?
No, sir.
All
No,
right.
sir.
Now, so let me go to the, yeah, right? And VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. It will take some time to explain this, right? So for now, remember that, we'll cover this, once all the concepts are completed. If we have, during the closing sessions, last week, I will explain this. VPN and MAC address not required as of now, right? But remember that, VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So, when you join some organization, right, like if they are following, they are having some security protocol. So they will ask you to connect to the VPN, to their organization's VPN, organization's virtual private network, right? And those applications which are then most of the applications, your organization's applications, right? They will not be accessible outside, internet. They are internal to the organization, right? So like you will come, so many organizations, you will have their their own VPN, private network, virtual private network, right? So I will explain this in detail, in later on, right? So once all our scripting and test executions all are completed,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And MAC address also not required at this moment. I'll explain that, and the last 1 week. And one more thing that you need to, you can use is, or you require to know is, like additional clocks, right? In Windows operating system, like, by default, you will have the one clock in your time zone, right? By default, you will have one clock in your time zone. So
Yes.
here, where, let me explain why do we need this to add the additional clocks, first of all, right? Suppose if your team is in US, right? Or if your application servers, Guys, those who are now, please mute
Some sound we are getting.
those who are having background noise, please mute yourself, Rajesh. Right? So, like say for example, your servers, your application, web server, app server, database server will be, suppose you are working for a US project, right? And your servers will be obviously in US only, right? If you are working for a UK project, so your servers will be in UK, right? Or your on-site team also will be in that, region, right? So, so I use this to see the server time, my server time, right? So say for example, I am working for a US project, which is in Eastern time zone. So my on-site team is in Boston, right? So which is in EST, right? So I want to know at what time they will come online, right? Or when their day will start, right? So, like I can say, I can simply, I need not remember like how many hours is it behind. I need not calculate it. So if I add that as a additional clock. So are you able to see at the bottom right of my machine, of my screen? Are you able to see the additional clocks?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
Right? So
yes.
how we can add that is, right click on that, go to adjust date time, right? In Windows, right? So go to adjust date and time, and somewhere you see additional clocks option. Yeah, so at the top right you see add clocks for different time zones, right? So you can click on that and you can add the time zones here. You can add 2 more additional clocks apart from your local time. You can add 2 more time zones here.
Yes.
Right? So, and by default this will be unchecked, right? So you have to check them and you have to search for the time zone whatever you want to add, and you have to give some name like this, right? I gave as Eastern time and PST, right? So my on-site team is in Eastern time zone, they are in Boston. So so that, and also all my servers are also in Eastern time, right? All my project servers are in Eastern time, right? So that's the reason, I want to do this additional mapping. Okay. So, and remote desktop connection, right? One more thing. So let me pass it. One more concept, we need to know, everyone need to know, whether it is a developer or software test engineer, is how to connect to a remote machine, right? How to connect to a remote machine, right? So, so we use this, go to type, Windows R for run prompt, right? If you type Windows button and R button together on your keyboard, you get this run prompt, right? And type MSTSC. MSTSC stands for Microsoft Terminal Services Client. Okay, you need not remember, but I just want to, I know the full term. The full term for this is Microsoft Terminal Services Client, right? So if you type MSTSC, you get this remote desktop connection window. You get this window called remote desktop connection. Now you give the IP address of whatever machine you want to connect. I mean, in your network, that should be in your network only. Then only you can connect. Okay. So
Sir, from search bar also we can directly type remote
Yeah,
desktop.
you can
yeah,
do
you
that.
can type remote. Yes, I think you can type
Yes.
remote also here, right? And you get
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
All right. So this is another
Yes.
thing, that we used to, if we suspect someone, like, in the interview process, right? So we will ask these comments like, how do you connect a remote desktop, remote computer, right? Your server machine or your colleague's machine. So this is the way to connect if you want to connect to some other machine, right? So in Windows search, Windows search box, so there are 2 ways. One way is you can type remote, you get this remote desktop connection, right? And you get this window. Here you have to enter the IP address of other machine, right? And credentials, you need credentials also, right? The other way is, you type Windows R and type MSTSC. Sometimes, your search box will not be visible sometimes. That's why, you should know this one also. So sometimes your Windows search box, will not be visible, right? Sometimes, right? So that's the reason I have shown you the other one also, right? So this is how we can connect to a remote machine, yes, right? And environment variables, I will cover this later. Windows shortcuts, I gave list of Windows shortcuts over here in the other slide. So everyone should be familiar with this, right? Don't use mouse, right? So please, try to use a keyboard as far as possible. All right. And Excel shortcuts, yes, practice some Excel shortcuts as well. So if you go to Excel, open Excel for the first time, there will be something called tours, right? Excel tours or something, right? So that will show you like, where can we see the show training? Yeah, search this, click on this show training, right? So it will show you like you will have Excel video tutorials, right? Please, like these are all Excel basics. These are all Excel. You need not be an expert, guys. You need not be an expert, but you should know these, Excel basics, formulas and functions, and how to use formulas. See, for example, yesterday I used this formula for addition, right? This is how we use addition formula. Sum of, and you have to give the cell name, right? So see here, you can see these are columns and these are rows, and this cell, if you want to identify this cell, this is read as A1, right? So, and this is B2, right? B column and second row. So this cell is called as B2, right? So you should know, and if you want to add some formulas, apply some formulas, right? So you use this one is equal to sum of any I3 to I5, means it will sum up all the numbers from I3 to I5, right? I applied a formula here for addition. So in that way, you can apply any formula over here, division or subtraction or any formula, right? Any operation, right? So these are all Excel basics that you need to know, that will make your life easy if you are good in Excel and Word document.
Okay, thank you.
Those who are good at all these, right, you will get double the packages. Please remember that. Okay, if the average package is number of years into 2 lakhs, if you are good at all these concepts, you will get number of years into 4 lakhs, 3 lakhs kind of packages. Okay, right? If they may not ask in the interview, but this will help you to excel in your job, right? All these will help you to to do your job perfectly, right? And this
Okay.
shortcuts.
How
And
can we practice the Word document, like samples?
Word document, I'm not sure. Let me check if you have anything as such.
Excel is good.
Maybe in the help file, yeah. Here also you have that show training.
Wow. Okay. That's good.
Format of layout pages, insert tables, pictures, watermarks, right? There are a lot, but these cover all the your basics, whatever you need to know, right? So
Okay.
to use Word effectively, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And like suppose in the PPT, if you came across some new term that you want to explore, just right click and use this option, explore VPN. It will directly open the Google search results, right? You want to explore about VPN, what is VPN, or you want to explore what is MAC address. Right click and use this option, explore MAC, explore option, right? You will directly get the Google search results. You need not open the browser and type this. Got it? And from here you can open that in your browser. All right.
Okay.
Next. So command prompt and elevated command prompt, right? So this is another thing that you need to know. So everyone should know. So command prompt. So everyone knows this command prompt, right? You just go to search box, Windows search box, and type CMD. You get this command prompt, right? Do we have Ramya today? Okay, I think she got disconnected. Yeah. So this is command prompt, normal command prompt, right? Guys.
Yes, sir.
Right? This is normal command
Yes.
prompt, right?
Yes.
So, and let's understand what is this elevated command prompt. Elevated command prompt means administrator command prompts. In normal command prompt, you may not be able to execute all the commands. Some commands you will not be able to execute from a normal command prompt. For those commands, we require this administrator command prompt or elevated command prompt. How you can launch that? You got it right. First of all, what is elevated command prompt?
Yes.
Elevated means command prompt with admin privileges. I gave it in the bracket. Command prompt with admin privileges is called as elevated command prompt, right? And how do you launch is you type CMD and use this as simple as that, run as administrator. Use this run as administrator. Now you can see it will show you administrator command prompt, right? Here it is showing you administrator command prompt, right? So you require this administrator command prompt few times, and this is how you can open that, right? And is it clear, guys? Right? And the assignments for you today will be Excel shortcuts, and this you can let me add Word also. Word training, right? So please go through this Excel training and Word training. Okay. Right. So this would be the, so you will not have any scripting today, right? Obviously, for a scripting you will have after 2 to 3 days. Please complete this. Please complete this Excel training or Word training. Take one of these and complete today, right? And do the other thing tomorrow, please, right? And this is command prompt and elevated command prompt. It's already I already covered this. And static IP and dynamic IP. Let me explain this, right? So you should know this. What is static IP and what is dynamic IP. So, let me open a command prompt, a new command prompt, okay, and type IP config, right? So it is showing some IP address, right? This is the current IP address of my machine, this machine, right? And now, will it be the same forever at your home network? Will it be the same forever?
No.
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
This is dynamic IP basically, right? So
Yes.
this IP address changes every time. I mean, not every time in the, it will change once in a week, or, I don't know on what basis it will change, on what interval basis it will change. But, this is not a static IP, right? So the next week, the IP address may be different. Okay. I'll show you next time, when I observe a change, I'll show you during the sessions, right? Please remember now it is, you can note it down. It's 192.168.0.134. If it changes, I will let you know, right? During our sessions. So we have, all we need to understand is this IP address, whatever we get by default is not static, but it is dynamic. Okay. Means dynamic, it changes from time to time. Clear, guys? Yes, please, 5 more minutes.
Yes. Yep.
Right? So if you want static IP address for some reason, if you want static IP, yes, you can get it, and your internet service provider can provide that. I mean, you have to pay some additional, $100 or $200 per month, right? Per month you have to, if you want static IP, you need to pay some additional $100, 100 rupees, right? Then your ISP will provide that static IP, right? So see, the reason why I'm covering this is, when you are working in an office, you might have noted some IP address, right? So don't get confused if it changes. It is expected behavior only, right? Your IP address may change because you don't get a static IP by default, right? And public IP, private IP I already covered, right? And WinSCP and Putty, I will cover these tools, once we are done with the scripting, right? So these are few concepts, basics, Windows basics that everyone should know, right? And this will be very much helpful when you are working. Once you are into some project, when you get some job and working, this will be very much helpful. All right, I'll stop it here and take a pause, and we have 5 more minutes. So, I'll leave that 5 minutes for any queries that you may be having. So these are some smart tools, that we use, in our day-to-day life. So for instance, WinSCP we use for file transferring. If you want to transfer or copy some file from local machine to remote machine and vice versa, right? So we use this, WinSCP is one of the tool for that, right? And Putty, Putty is used for, connecting to the remote machines, right? So we will have a detailed session on this, both of these, we'll have half an hour session on each of them, right? These two are another, important tools, right? That we use in day-to-day life. I will cover this, once this scripting is completed. Okay, I'll take a pass here. Any queries? I'll leave the floor.